Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, P Farm. Thinking right out here in the lab. In the book, we about to wind up. I got a few more chapters left, but I got to give you this one. This is going to be a good one. This is the goal of spiritual enlightenment is to commune with God, your higher self, or the divine. Let's go. Right isn't 25 rules live by, aka 25 rules live by, excuse me, storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right Thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinker's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I ask the question, do you know you? You will when I'm through. That's what I do. It's rhetorical. But if you know how to answer, excuse me, answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm your spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself and to Maya, be true. Let's talk about spiritual enlightenment, the purpose of it, and how it can happen for you. That's my job to get you there. When you think God, we think what? Self, source, almighty, all the attributes. But let me read this for you right quick. The self, as we call it, is the source and substance of all objects in creation. From energy to atoms, from atoms to molecules, from molecules to compounds, from compounds to physical objects, plants, food, the human body, animals, planets, stars, etc. This is what it looks like. Okay, starting from the dot. Remember, God starts out from the dot, and that's where he ends up with all this other stuff we call creation. Now, let's talk about how to commune with that source, that all creating source. The goal of spiritual enlightenment or right thinking philosophy, based on the story of Ra, Aset, may be summarized as follows. The first thing is worldly knowledge is not considered high knowledge, it's considered lower knowledge. Oh, but I know about this, I know about that. Yeah, okay, but the main thing you need to know about is yourself. Self knowledge is the best knowledge. So let's talk about why worldly knowledge is lower knowledge. Let's go. Scholarly knowledge, biblical knowledge, that's all lower knowledge. But I know the Bible, I know that, yeah, I know the law. Yeah, I passed the bar, all that. Still lower knowledge. Let's talk about it. A spiritual aspirant or right thinker needs to become what? Self-sufficient and capable of controlling his or her practical life, daily living. Who's running the show? You or your ego? This means that you, the person, you should seek to first learn the practical knowledge which will help you to survive in the practical world. As a parent, I wanted to make sure my son and my daughter had knowledge that they could survive in the world. So I agree with that concept 100% as a parent. Having done this, you, the aspirant, need to always remember to be God conscious, but that your worldly knowledge is good, but it's still lower knowledge. It is used for you to sustain you in your practical reality. I just gave you a lesson. A sage has what we call advanced spiritual knowledge of oneself. A sage is an enlightened being, teaching others how to become enlightened. Teachers, master teachers. But they're telling you here, all the knowledge that you obtain is fine and dandy, but it's still on the lower bracket when it comes to self-knowledge. Okay? As an aspirant, that means you want the best for yourself. You're aspiring to what? Be better. If you're a right thinker, you coming on board to what? Get knowledge of self so you can what? Be your best self, so you can know thyself. That's my mission that I'm on, to help those who follow my philosophy. That's what it's all about. Oh, there we go. All right, had to cut the heat off. All right, let's go. Next one is aspiration. An aspirant is someone who's awakening to what? Their spiritual self. Not the physical self, not the body. No, no. The spiritual self, the inner self. That is now becoming what? You're becoming conscious of the divine presence where? Within yourself. If you're looking for God anywhere outside yourself, you will never find him. And some of y'all who claim to look for God in yourself don't look deep enough, you won't find him either. If you don't do it in earnest and sincerity, you won't find him either. But God ain't hard to find if you put the work in. All right, watch this. So, by having, the presence within oneself and the universe, by having faith that what? There is a spiritual essence that's beyond the ordinary human understanding and the physical being. There's a higher self. There's a divine spirit. We call it God. Egyptians called it Nebercha, Netter. But we know it to be all the attributes, all knowing. I take two things we need to know about God. And those two things is in us. Spirit, life, heart. Awareness, consciousness. That's the mind. Those are two things that got to become one for you to become God-like in the flesh. And what this means is it implies, when you have that knowledge and understanding, it implies that a desire to engage in your spiritual studies, which you do daily to prove yourself approved, and your self-discovery of what? Who you really are. Your aspiration also means you're seeking after your spiritual truth. How? Through the various spiritual disciplines known as right thinking philosophy or yoga or religion, and whatever road you take to know thyself is fine. The idea that the end result is to getting self-knowledge or knowing thyself or getting to God for yourself. And whichever you look at it. My goal, I got a route I took. I can tell you about that one. That's what I do for you. Now, daily studying of your teachings that you're learning is fine. And I tell everybody, I tell you all the time, knowledge is good to have. It's better to have and don't need it than to need and don't have it. But to have knowledge and don't apply it is a waste of having it. Like a God-given talent that you don't even use, he'll take it away. Okay, if you ain't using it, you don't need it. That's the concept. So let's talk about daily study. We call it Shidi, studying profoundly on the lessons. And then the right thing philosophy says applying those teachings. And you will acquire wisdom through what? The experience. Studying daily and applying the wisdom teachings daily implies that you're practicing the teachings that you're learning where? In your day-to-day life. That's how it works. It means you're seeing beyond the opposites and you're starting to understand the underlying essence of creation. The veil of ignorance is starting to lift. You're starting to see things for what they are. Your third eye is about to be opening. Okay? And when you're doing this, by studying and applying it on a daily basis, now that leads to what? You start to inquire into what? Ask that famous old question, that famous question, who am I? And a lot of us don't have the answer to that question. And if you ask yourself that question and you know how to answer, you should be tuning in. I can help you with that. I got the answer. Okay, we're spiritual, divine spiritual beings, godly, having a human experience with no memory of who we are. So we come here not knowing ourselves. The goal is to what? Know thyself before you leave here. Okay, let's go. So when you want to know who you are, there is no more powerful question which you as an aspirant or right thinker, spiritual seeker can ask other than who am I? Everything in life depends on one's ego. Identify with yourself. And Carl Jung said it best, since he's modified it, he got the same concept, but he modified it. That's your identification card. That's you. That's fine. Okay. I tell you, the dog that's in the fight, no, it's the fight that's in the dog. That's the ego. Okay. But if you ask the question, who am I? It becomes clearer and clearer what? That your ego is not the real you. Mm-hmm. That's that's a gimme, but you have to find out for yourself. Once you do that, now what? Everything is not really you, and everything that the ego wants is all illusory. Why? It's all of the physical world, monetary. Okay, the ego wants pleasures of the flesh, money, monetary things. Everybody just kiss their butt. Them kind of people. Okay, that's what the ego wants, and that's all illusory. Watch this. So spiritual discipline, practice daily, will allow you, the spiritual aspirant or right thinker, to now gradually free yourself from what? The snare of egoism. Conquering the ego, not giving in to your lower nature, your desires, your urges of the flesh, all that stuff. If you know drinking alcohol ain't good for you, but you can't stop. You know that girl that you know ain't good for you, but you just can't stop. You have yet to conquer your ego. Why? Because your ego still drives you to do things that you know is wrong. Okay, that's why the ego edge got out. Why? It on its own accord. And if you can't control it, you have you doing things that man, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why. You know why? Why the ego? Okay, but your daily practice of mental spiritual discipline will allow you to gradually free yourself from those clutches of what? The egoism and those addiction of desires of stuff that ain't good for you. Carnal situation, physical stuff. Egoism and ignorance. Those are two qualities that you got them, you got a problem. Okay? They don't care about nothing. If you're driven by your ego and you're ignorant, ooh, man, that's a bad combination. I can't say he was ignorant, but his ego, he was driven by the ego. But he wasn't ignorant. He was a smart dude. Okay. Single-mindedness, determination to know the higher self, aka the highest truth. You have to want that. It ain't going to come and say, I'm the high truth, I'm the real deal. You have to want it. That's what we call y'all aspirants. You aspire to get or to do or to be. In this case, you want to be focused. A spiritual aspirant or right thinker cannot be satisfied with just the intellectual understanding of who I am. Okay, I'm Elmer J. Ford. I own a mansion and a yacht. That's it? Yeah, pretty much. Nah. You want to know who I am or the nature of what? God for yourself. There must be an overwhelming and a single one-pointed movement towards the ultimate goal. And that is to experience divine for oneself. How can you do that? Ready? Daily meditation. There you go. I don't hear the religious groups talk about communing with God outside the church. They know that if you can do that, you won't need to come to church. I come to church every week. I understand, but I still go to church to fellowship. Okay, to be in that environment. I told you that I gave that lesson. But they know that if you learn to get to God without going to church, listening to them, they lose money. Well, no. Religion is a business. Spirituality is a profession that what they don't do it for the money. We do it for the purpose of giving you what you need from a spiritual aspect. I'm a philosopher. I'll just give you a bunch of information. You can do with it what you want. But I'm not religious. Okay. So I'm not here to gaslight you. I'm trying to give you information that you can use. I ain't trying to gaslight you and BS you for a couple of dollars. Donate to I ain't asking you for a dime and I won't do it. Moving on. That's my purpose. To say, oh, how you claim to be spiritual, but you asking for money? Churches ask for money. Church is religion. Moving on. Let me make this point and get out of here. All right, let me wrap it up. Where we at? Single-mindedness. Okay. When you want to experience God for yourself, you have to go inside yourself, sit down, still yourself, like He tell you, and know that I am God. Meditate. Now, He didn't outright say that, but that's how you get to God. I know that much. Last one. And this is the best part about the whole. I took you all the way around the mulberry bush just to get you here. Sorry about that, but this is the fun part. The idea of spiritual enlightenment, the goal of spiritual enlightenment is to commune with the divine. Well, I talk to God, I pray. No, I didn't tell you about praying. I didn't remember any time say nothing about prayer. Okay, praying means you talking. When you communing with God, that means you're listening because He's doing the talking. Well, how do I listen to God? There you go. How you listen to God? First thing, still yourself. I've been in practice of yoga for over 10 years now. That's the first thing you got to do. Stop. It's going to take a little while. It ain't going to happen overnight. Oh, I'm talking to God. No. It takes a little time. Gradual growth and understanding that you got to put the time in and earn it. But that's how it starts. First of all, stop, still yourself, and listen. It don't get you, going to church don't get you to God. Communing with that divine. Let me break it down for you right quick and get out of here. This is my fun part. I said, was able to commune with Ra by getting his real name. Remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin? They knew that if you knew their name, you knew them, pretty much. So he felt like she didn't know his name. Nobody could tell us. So, long story short, but I said wanted to know the truth. I want to know your real name. I go by the name P. I hear people ask, what's your real name? Police. I'm my government now. If I tell you my name, what else did it matter? So yeah, I get the concept. But what's this? When she wanted to commune with God, the purpose of he didn't say it to her verbally. They communicate on a whole nother level. That's where God dwells in us, at that level where you can only communicate within yourself eternally and with mindset. And this is how she obtained his real name. So, to a aspirant, a right thinking, spiritual aspirant, you must seek to commune with what? With your higher self. Go inside yourself. In order to attain spiritual enlightenment, this is accomplished by daily practicing of your spiritual disciplines that's outlined here and through these leading yourself into what they call the transcendental spiritual transformation. A spiritual transformation is taking you from not knowing to knowing. It's like having the lights turned off and the lights turned on. Hence, enlightenment. I'm going to enlighten you. I'm going to give you something that you don't already have. Knowledge of self. That's my job. Wrapping it up. Hope you're getting the concept. This is the best part for me right here. And you outline through the light, leading oneself to have their own mystical experience, the transcendental transformation of what? A state of consciousness. It becomes the mind thing, which will allow you to be able to now go beyond and conquer one's ego and ignorance and converse intimately with what? One's higher self, aka God. I talk to God every day. Can you say that? But see, I don't just talk. I don't pray out loud. Me and God talk internally. Okay, I'm an inner speaker. Okay, I'm an introvert. But this is the goal, and it's the ultimate goal for which all living persons, right thinkers, to become what? Before you expire, die, pass away. Before that happens, you want to have become one with God for yourself. If you become one with God in the flesh, when the flesh dies, you go back to stay one with God for eternity. That's the idea. See why communing with God is such an important part of being a right thinker? That's how you get the ticket to the afterlife. Hope you got the message. Hope you enjoyed it. I love doing this type of thing. This is what I like to do for you. Hope you got the message. Again, communing with God is stopping, stilling yourself, putting everything else aside, and giving Him some time and listen. The first thing you got to do with God is listen. Don't talk. Listen. Hope you enjoyed the lesson and close the right thinkers. May you all live to be 100. Me, 100 miles a day. So I've never loved my right thinkers who now understand the goal of right thinking philosophy or spiritual enlightenment is to commune with God for yourself before you pass away. Trust me, it's the best thing you could ever do.